It is Christmas, and we're getting to the new year. Welcome into Late Night Baseball, folks. If you're new here, that is Parker. I'm Anthony. We talk Major League Baseball and everything in between. Parker, it is going to be 2025 soon. How are you feeling?
As far as 2025 goes, I'm hopeful that the Red Sox are not done with the offseason yet. But yeah, no, I'm excited, man. Christmas is right around the corner. I got my kids a bunch of stuff that I'm excited to see them unwrap, and I don't know. It's like it's an awesome thing that baseball gets to participate in the holidays during the off season. Keeps me entertained during the off season, and then the regular season is during, like, I don't know, everything else that's not the holidays.
Right. As far as I'm concerned, the real holiday is opening day. Christmas is truly secondary. I keep telling people it's the best time of the year. My ass, it's the opening day.
I keep telling people that opening day of baseball season is literally like it's my birthday. I feel like it's my birthday. I look forward to it more than I do my birthday.
Ain't that the truth? Well, welcome in, everyone, to another late night conversation. If you are not following us on YouTube, do us a big favor. Subscribe to us on YouTube. We have great content there. We have these weekly shows. We also post a lot of extra inning bonus content on our extra inning playlist. So make sure you're doing that, catching our shorts. Really, your hub for all things late night baseball is going to be YouTube. So get over there, subscribe, and get notifications every time we post something new. So today, Parker, wanted to do a couple things. We have a few transactions. I'm sure we want to talk about some free agent signings, some trades. Got to go through that per usual. And then we want to give out some late night baseball Christmas gifts. We're in the giving spirit, and we have some to give out. So we'll go through that. And then I'm gonna be bold, and I'm gonna share who I think, or which franchise I think is going to be the most fascinating franchise to watch in the next 5 years. So we'll end with that. Parker, offseason is still going on. Things are moving, albeit a little slowly as we get to Christmas. But what's sticking out to you these days?
Well, we had a couple, like, I don't know, moves that twitched the needle. I won't say they moved the needle because there wasn't crazy stuff going on. I mean, we haven't talked about Cody Bellinger yet, and we're definitely going to get to that. That one moved the needle for sure. There's a little couple things, Jonathan Loáisiga going back to the New York Yankees on a 1-year contract. That's something solid for them. Keeps their bullpen, as strong as it was previously. The guy's got a nasty sinker. He's a good reliever. So good for him. Max Kepler signed a 1-year contract with the Phillies, which, hey, Max Kepler's not nobody. Hey. He's a depth piece that's going to do probably pretty well on that team. Mike Soroka went from the Chicago White Sox to the Washington Nationals. Now, he sported I want to pull him up real quick before we move on from him, because no offense, but I do want to know his FIP instead of his ERA, because I'm pretty sure Mike Soroka had a decent year last year. He went 0-10, but, like, we're going to see what actually, I have his numbers up right now. FIP. He had a 4.95 FIP on top of his, let's see, ERA of 4.74.
So what I'll say there is, having seen him in a Sox uniform last year, I think what really made him interesting to teams was actually his second half. His second half, he actually pitched out of the bullpen. And when he pitched out of the bullpen, I mean, the guy had a 2.69 ERA out of the pen. Or excuse me, that's not true. So out of the pen, he had, where was it? It was a much better ERA out of the pen. He had 2.75 ERA out of the pen. So, I mean, here's my thing though, is obviously as a former White Sox, I was like, all right, let me see what this guy cashed in on. $9 million. Like, part of my gifting to MLB teams, I know, but still, like, $9 million. Like, part of I considered putting in my gifts to major league teams, giving the Washington Nationals $5 million because I think they vastly overpaid for Mike Soroka. But I mean, I see why it's the Nationals. Soroka is definitely, he was a former first round pick. The guy has some talent, but that's a lot of money for a guy that's just kind of not been able to put it together recently.
Yeah, definitely $9 million for a guy who could very well just end up being a 2 to 3 inning reliever. That's tough. But it is Mike Soroka, and I think you're kind of paying for the history, right? And it's a 1-year prove it deal. Like
Yeah.
it is what it is. You're gonna get what you're gonna get out of him. But this Nationals team, with little moves like this, is looking more and more. I won't even say dangerous. I don't want to say but interesting for sure. Like they are
That's
not
fair.
the nobodies that they've been since basically they won the World Series in 2019 and
Right.
every single year prior to that. But yeah, no, they're interesting. They've got guys like James Wood coming up through that system. They have a team that they aren't building around quite yet, but they have a structure that they can build around for sure.
Absolutely. I want to jump to the Yankees acquiring Cody Bellinger, and
Mm-hmm.
because the Yankees have been heavily involved in seemingly everything over the last couple of weeks.
Yep.
When you heard, I'm going to be honest. I'm going to be honest with you. I'll start here. When I heard about the Cody Bellinger trade and saw that the Cubs only acquired Cody Petit, who is essentially a 30-year-old pitcher journeyman. It started to make me wonder, like, was Cody Bellinger's market truly that bad? Like, really? Because it had to have been for how long it took the Cubs to move him and what they got back. All signs say teams were not high on him.
No, yeah. So I think that it was a very, very blatant salary dump because the Yankees also sent a bunch of cash over to the Cubs in order to make this deal happen. Cody Bellinger, I mean, what can you say about him except that he's one of the most hot and cold players in all of MLB. He had that insane, like historic 2019 MVP race with Christian Yelich, and he put up 8.64 that season. Since then, he has capped out at 4.4 WAR, which was not last season. It was the year before, and it was in a Chicago Cubs uniform. Then the Cubs signed him to that 3-year opt-out crazy Scott Boras-y deal. He only puts up 2.2 WAR, batting 266, 325, and 426 with a 750 OPS and only a 111 OPS plus. Not his best season at all. Now, what Cody Bellinger gets to do now in any of the next 2 years could be a contract year, a walk year for him if he chooses to make it so. He goes to a Yankee Stadium that has the short portion, right? He's a left-handed hitter. They needed a solution at first base. They needed a solution in center field. Aaron Judge is going to be able to go back to playing right field most of the time. So the deal fits both parties so well that I kind of understand why the Yankees gave up mostly just cash for him. They, from what it appears, they're basically like, yeah, we're taking on his money, we're getting his money off your books, and here's some cash to compensate. Now the Cubs are in a weird position where, first of all, they had to get rid of somebody in that outfield. Turns out it was Cody Bellinger. They decided to. They had no clue that PCA was going to be as good as he has been in the outfield, and you got to give that guy every day at bats. So when you talk about having guys like Seiya Suzuki, Pete Crow Armstrong, you just traded for Kyle Tucker, crowded outfield. And this is the type of thing that you say before the Cubs have 3 outfield injuries in the middle of June and they have no outfielders to play baseball anymore. Not to jinx them or anything, but these are the conversations you have to have from an off-season perspective. My only thing, and I'm not the only person out there saying this is not an original take at all, but I think everybody wants to see the Ricketts really reinvest that money, really prove that this was not just a salary dump for the sake of a salary dump, that this was a move that maybe you're going to use to propose a contract extension to Kyle Tucker, or maybe acquire more talent, because the starting rotation is not terrible. The lineup is not terrible. Some of your most productive or expected production is coming from really young players, so you never know what's going to happen there. But they have veteran leadership on a young team with serviceable pitching. There's no reason that this team can't make a run at a relatively weak NL Central.
Yeah, I think that's the play for the Cubs. I think they realize the weakness of the division. I'm going to be honest with you. What I hear being here in the Chicagoland area, Cubs fans, they're kind of done with the Cubs kind of treading water, which is what they've done over the last 3 to 4 years. So, I think Ricketts and Jed Hoyer understands that. I think Jed Hoyer understands it even more because he himself is in a contract year, and I think the fire is under his ass to do something as it should be. Now, on the Yankees side of things, there is some belief, and good belief, I think, to say that you put Cody Bellinger, a left-handed bat, in Yankee Stadium with a short porch, he's going to see some better numbers. And I believe that to be true. I think, what we've said for weeks now is this Yankees team, despite losing Juan Soto, if they can insert 2 to 3 bats, they could not necessarily make up for it pound for pound, but get pretty damn close. And I think Bellinger's one of the many moves that they still have in them to make up that difference.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, I'm looking at Cody Bellinger's heat map, or at least his spray chart, I should say. There's not much he did in Wrigley that's going to be any better in Yankee Stadium. I mean, when you go to one of the most hitter-friendly left-handed parks to another extremely friendly left-handed park. Fun fact, if I'm looking, and I think this is Wrigley Field, I'm pretty sure Wrigley Field's 314 to right. Yankee Stadium, I believe, off the top of my head, is 318 to right. So it's like a few feet difference, but the wall's a little shorter. So it's kind of neither here nor there. 6 in one, half dozen in the other, whether he's going to see a lot more production. But the point is that he does have the capability of being the guy who can spray the ball around. Like, all of his doubles and singles and all, they're all over the ballpark. Like, it's just those home runs that are strictly pull. So he definitely has the capability to go out there and really spray the ball around Yankee Stadium, especially if you can hit some balls to right center, to left center field in that ballpark. You're going to be getting, with his speed, a triple. So I like the move for Cody Bellinger. He could probably use with a change of scenery, and the Yankees really needed his defense in center and in at first base. So I think good move all around generally.
Speaking of Yankees in first base, they were very much in, apparently, on Christian Walker. And today, Christian Walker signed with the Houston Astros, which, Parker, I'm going to be honest with you, that definitely took me by surprise. I did not think the Astros were in on Christian Walker, and I'm still trying to figure out what exactly the Astros are doing, quite frankly.
Yeah. The Astros have no desire to pay any of their big walking guy. I don't think that they're going to... From what it seems like, the offer that they made to Alex Bregman, that was basically half of what his value is going to end up being on signing day. They're not going to pursue him any further. They went ahead and got Isaac Paredes. And then, was he going to play third? Was he going to play first? Turns out he's going to play third. They went ahead and got Christian Walker. I think the play that they initially had in mind was trading for Paredes and then hopefully trading for Arenado. We just found out in recent days that Arenado vetoed a trade to the Houston Astros. Arenado has a no-trade clause. He is still on the trade block. Arenado is very aware that he is a trade target, but he has the privilege of choosing where he goes, rightfully so. But when you veto that trade to the Astros, you kind of tie their hands a little bit, and they had to find somebody to play either third or first because Paredes is going to fill in, I think, wherever they couldn't have found somebody. And Christian Walker, he had a down offensive season last year, but I mean, as first basemen go, you're not going to find a better defensive first baseman, really.
No, not at all. And he's above average with the bat. I mean, this is it's interesting because the league used to be rich in power hitting, average to above average first baseman, defensive first baseman. I don't know if you've noticed, that's old news. There's not many.
The universal DH happened.
That's true. No, 100%.
A lot of those first basemen are now just DHs now.
Correct. I mean, there's not a plethora of really strong first basemen. I wouldn't go as far as saying that it's been relegated to like the catchers that are very few and far between of true all-star catchers, but we're kind of getting there. And you count how many first basemen first baseman off the top of your head that you would pick over the guy you have now. Christian Walker, Freddie Freeman. You have.
I would personally pick Tristan Casas, but that's also some bias on my part.
You think so? Let's not pretend Christian. I'll do mine. How about not Tristan Casas? I'll do Andrew Vaughn. I would rather have Christian Walker, Pete Alonso, Freddie Freeman. Who else, really? I mean, it's just there's not a large list.
I was going to say somebody like a Rizzo, but like he's not. I wouldn't have him above a Christian Walker.
No, not now.
No.
Call me
Cody
5
Bellinger?
Years ago. See?
It's a really weak position group. First, the right side of the infield in general, because of the inherently easier defensive positions that they are, second base and first base, has supremely suffered since the arrival of the universal DH. I mean, we've seen the second base position. I will not say that it's dead because I love second base and I love the middle
Yeah.
infield in general, but like, look at this class, man. When you find one of those defensive second basemen that can really play the game from the second base position, you lock them down and you sign them to a long-term deal, and they don't hit free agency because they are so few and far between. So, I mean, yeah, it's a weak position group for sure. The first baseman, who else were you going to pick? Pete Alonso? He's not giving you anywhere near the defense that a Christian Walker is giving you.
That's purely for offense, obviously. But here going back to the Astros real quick before we leave the Astros. I talked about not really knowing what they're doing, and I have concerns about their viability in the AL West. Right? I say this on the show all the time. I want every team to be competitive. That makes the best baseball, and I think the Astros are no exception to that. Particularly seeing that they've been a powerhouse for the last 10, 12 years, and I look at their lineup. Even if you have Altuve at the top, you've inserted Paredes, and you have Yordan Alvarez, you insert Walker. The bottom half, I mean, when you're rolling out Chas McCormick in right field and Tyler Trammell in left and Jake Myers in center field, 75% of fans don't know who the hell 2 or 3 of those guys are. That's a problem. So I don't know how competitive they're gonna be when they seemingly don't have that much wiggle room to work with as far as money goes, and there's still some huge question marks here.
So I still think they're baseline competitive. I think that we'll be competing for at least a wild card position. But the problem is there are a lot of wild card teams in the American League. There are very few. I think the division winners are pretty okay. The Yankees are probably going to win the AL East, and the Orioles are going to give them a run for their money. When you look at the AL Central, it's like the Twins and the Tigers. Okay, the Guardians are there too. Okay, that's actually a pretty competitive division. But when you look at the AL West, man, it's the Rangers and the Astros.
But see, I don't think it's a terrible division, but it's a division where the parity between the teams is very thin. I think any of them, besides the Angels, can find themselves, or the A's. Hello, let's not forget the Las Vegas A's of Sacramento.
Yeah, stick with the Angels. They're not winning shit.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't know. They just signed Dakota Hudson, Yusei Kikuchi. Don't forget they have Travis d'Arnaud, Jorge Soler. They are making moves. They are moving mountains. They're but to get back to my point is, I don't know that any one of those teams, Astros included, I'm betting on winning that division. And like you said, a wild card in any of these leagues right now, you're not winning a wild card with 85, 86 wins. It's just not happening.
And to me, the wild card goes to the AL East, which is such a weird thing to say. To me, there are several teams in the AL, like every single team in the AL East can win the wild card.
Yes.
When you talk about the Yankees, the Red Sox, the Orioles, the Blue Jays, if they have a really good season, especially with Vladdy and Bo and walk years. But the Rays have not been raying for the last couple of years, but they could just start doing it again at any moment in time.
Not to mention, Parker, there were 3 teams in the AL Central in the playoffs last year.
Right.
3 teams. We didn't even bring them up yet. There's no way the Astros can just sit on the laurels of this team and go, well, probably fine. You're probably not.
Yeah, no, especially because if you ask me right now, if I was a betting man and I'm not for baseball, I would probably have my money on the Rangers to win that division as of this moment. That could change. Injuries happen. But I mean, they have pitching. You can count on Jacob deGrom at least being in the building.
Bring in the vibes. That's about it.
Yeah, and definitely a, I don't know, Nathan Eovaldi factors there. It's just so interesting to see what's going on in that Rangers club. I think that they're better than people are giving them credit for. I have a feeling about these Rangers.
Yeah, I'm with you too. I think last year was a mirage. I think they'll get back to at least, probably not where they were in 2023, but closer.
Our mutual friend Adam, for his sake, I hope they do.
I really hope they do. The guy needs some baseball love. Parker, we talked about Cody Bellinger, so we covered that a little bit. Max Kepler, you already mentioned. I want to go back. I want to go to your Red Sox for a second because we were talking about this on and off today about them signing Patrick Sandoval, and they essentially sign him to a 2-year deal with the first year at $5.5 million while he's recovering from Tommy John surgery from last summer. He's actually slated to return as early as mid-season in 25, and then they're giving him $12.7 million in 26. Those deals, they're kind of a win-win. I love those deals.
Yeah, we were just talking about it earlier. The Red Sox, and this isn't just me. This is going to sound like I'm just, blowing smoke because I'm a Red Sox fan. Yeah, it's going to sound like I'm a homer. But the Red Sox genuinely have one of the more renowned pitching rehab structures and systems in all of baseball. And that's proven by the fact that there are now 4, Patrick Sandoval being the 4th person that has signed a 2-year deal with the Red Sox in order to rehab a Tommy John. That going back to, his name just left my Big Maple. What the heck's his name? I know his nickname is. I can't pull
James
Paxton. James Paxton. Yeah. He signed that 2-year deal. He spent the first year rehabbing Tommy John. Came back, pitched decently enough to get a contract with the Dodgers. James Paxton did it unintentionally. Lucas Giolito is currently doing it, and he is going to have his pitching year coming up here soon. Then we have Liam Hendricks, who was coming off of a plethora of things, cancer as well as elbow issues. And then now we have Patrick Sandoval. And so, I mean, this is a formula that has proven, at least at the James Paxton level, to work for both people. You get one of the better medical staffs in baseball. You get a cheap kind of a handshake. I put it earlier when we were talking about, we'll rehab you, then you give us a year of production, then you see how you do on the market. It worked for James Paxton. Hopefully it works for Lucas Giolito. I still think Liam Hendricks is going to be one of the more elite relievers in baseball. And now we see Patrick Sandoval, who's a guy with really good stuff that always kind of felt he was hamstrung by being in that Angels rotation. So I'd like to see what he does for a team, the Red Sox, who at least by next year looks like they're going to be hopefully serious contenders. So interesting. And I think, like you said, beneficial both ways, those kind of deals. I'm glad they're happening.
Yeah, me too. I think Patrick Sandoval is one of those people that you get him with the right pitching infrastructure, you put him in the right environment. His peripherals look pretty good. I think he could be he's not going to blow you away, but he's going to be a guy you can depend on for 25, 30 starts and give you around I would say 3.5 minimum, 4.5 high ERA and be really happy about that.
Yeah, and not to be more of a homer, but the Andrew Bailey pitching factory has proven to be good, not just on the Red Sox, and we haven't really seen too much of it on the Red Sox yet. He hasn't had a chance to get his feet. He had one season so far. We'll give him some time. But Tanner Houck had a crazy turnaround last season into being an all-star caliber pitcher. We saw guys like Carter Crawford have a really good first half of the season, and then back when he was in San Francisco, he was putting up really good numbers with pitchers that were really not expected to do so. So credit to him. Credit to the Red Sox medical staff. I think this is going to be a really good move, if not for the Red Sox, then definitely for Patrick Sandoval.
It will be. We'll be obviously in a position where we will be. I want to hold on. Let me check my mic. You hear me okay still?
Yeah.
All right, good. Yeah. Sometimes my audio is a little wonky. But we'll continue to talk about these moves. I definitely sense, Parker, we're getting close to Christmas. Things are slowing down. But once January 2nd, 3rd comes up, I think things are going to get heated up again here.
Yeah, absolutely. I completely agree. Not much to add there. I am interested in a couple different moves that happened. I'm going to stop at the Nestor Cortez trade because we did have a chance to talk about that last episode. But underrated, and we will get to it probably later, I have a feeling. Jeffrey Springs to the Athletics. Not nothing at all. A couple arms that nobody knows who the fuck they are, and the Rays will turn them into incredible relievers. Yep. And that's just
the Rays know them better than the A's know them. I guarantee
100%. You do not give up a Jeffrey Springs coming off of Tommy John, but Jeffrey Springs, somebody who had a really good turnaround, at least with the Rays initially before he did go down with Tommy John. Going to the A's, I think he's going to do fine. I think he's going to do just fine there. And I think that the Rays are probably fleecing the A's, and I'm willing to basically put that on any trade the Rays are involved in.
You know what? I tell people all the time, don't trade with the Rays. Just don't do it.
You will lose those trades, man. And that's, it's funny, as somebody who, like, we fired Heim Bloom, but he was here for a few years. It kind of felt like that Rays mentality of always needing to win the trade was something that kind of hamstrung him with the Red Sox. And Red Sox fans were like, dude, you don't need to win every trade. Just go make trades. That mentality comes directly from Tampa, and that is how they execute trades. If they do not feel like they win, they will not make the trade. So if you're trading with them, what better team than the A's, man? I mean, they're looking to lose trades.
Hey, don't shit on the A's. Give them some love. We got love for you. Don't worry, it's coming. Hang tight.
Coming.
Parker, it is Christmas time. It's the holidays. We're all in great moods, and everyone's in the giving spirit, and that includes us. And what I want to do, Parker, is I want to give some gifts to some major league teams, people in the league. We're just handing out gifts, okay? I want to know from you, if you're giving out gifts this season, which gifts are you giving? Who are you giving them to?
Well, I'll start with kind of the slam dunk, and I'll do my first one, and that is I want to give a ballpark to the Tampa Bay Rays. If I could give any gift in baseball right now, it would be a ballpark to the Tampa Bay Rays. Not the A's, the Rays. The A's have a ballpark. I would love to see the Rays the Rays have this unique thing where they're the new team in Florida, and both teams in Florida are new, but they are the newer team in Florida. They have been pretty successful over the life of their franchise, which is more than you can say for the other Florida team, but they have still had a hard time generating a fan base, and nothing is going to kneecap that more than playing in a spring training ballpark for an entire season, if not more. And like their whole franchise's direction right now is literally like it feels like on the brink of collapse. If you listen to guys like Jeff Passan when he writes articles about him, simply because Hurricane Milton came through there and really demolished the Trop. And maybe it's a blessing in disguise. Maybe it turns into that because nobody needed a new ballpark like the A's and the Rays, and it turns out both of them probably are getting new ones here soon.
Yeah. I mean, the recent news out of St. Petersburg is that it looks like because the council down there, the city or the county council, whatever you call it, delayed approving bonds for that ballpark. Now they're saying it's not going to not be ready till 2029. And then they're saying because they delayed, it's going to cost, $200 million more. So I don't know what's going to happen there, but I go to Florida a lot. I have family down there. I've been to the Trop. It's basically like watching a baseball game in a high school gymnasium, but I loved it for its own. It was like its own experience. But
yeah,
I love that. I love the team. I love everything about the team. I love the vibe. I love their strategy. I love the freaking uniforms. Like
I was just gonna say, low key, some of the better uniforms in baseball.
100%. And they're like nothing gaudy and in your face. They're just so crisp and just their whole team. I love that team being in Tampa. I think they need to stay there. They need a really cool ballpark. I am like so in their corner for them getting what they deserve and also hopefully being able to put more money into that team. Like, can you imagine for a second what they would do with that team with the scouting infrastructure they had and more money put into it? Oh, shit.
Think about like why we talk about the Dodgers being able to do things like defer money because they're in such a good location, because they have the money to throw at the team. They already have established stars. Well, we're talking about a Rays team with guys like Yandy Diaz on it. We are talking about a Rays team with guys like Shane McClanahan on it. And a Rays team that every single year is going to have one of the better bullpens in baseball because of wizard magic. And like, if you put an appealing ballpark out there, you will see the team perform better. Look at it. I always refer when I talk about the ballpark effective teams. You look at the Twins. The Twins have had a lot of success, at least organizationally, like at the organizational level, since they built Target Field. When they were in the Metrodome, it was like, oh, what is happening? As much as the Metrodome is super classical, and I play with it on MLB The Show.
Oh,
it's like, this isn't little big league anymore, and we needed a real big league ballpark. And the team has been better, and the fans have had a better experience since they built that ballpark. So build one in Tampa. And I know it's easier said than done. And I'm not the guy trying to get loans from St. Petersburg itself to build the ballpark. But like, I don't know, maybe the best thing for the Rays is actually to move to Nashville or something like that. But it's like
that
nobody
I feel like
wants
that's everyone. Yeah, like, oh, I'm not going to get what I want, says every team ever. I'm going to go to Nashville. Like that's
Yeah.
this has become, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
let's just keep everyone where they are and
Yeah.
expand to 32 teams
Yeah,
and include
let's
Nashville.
put teams in Montreal and Nashville and then call it a day. We have 32 teams.
Done. Love it. Oh, if the Expos came back, man, I'd be so
They
here
couldn't
for
be
it.
anything other than the Expos. If there's another team
No.
in Montreal, it needs to be the Expos.
No, it's either the Expos or the Baguettes. I won't accept anything else. So I got a gift for you, Parker. This one's a good one, and I'm gonna start with one here in my backyard. I want to gift Luis Robert Jr. to the Giants. Okay.
Oh.
I want to gift him to the Giants because here's the story. Here's what I'm thinking about with the Giants. First off, new GM Buster Posey has a new big boy job. Okay,
Yeah, he does.
He's going to want to impress over there with a franchise and a fan base that has just gotten screwed left and right when it comes to free agents and building teams in the offseason. We all know the story, Arson Judge. Y'all remember, but. This guy, actually, when you look at what he's done this offseason, I am super impressed. For him to land someone like Willy Adames is hella impressive. And you look at this lineup, okay? Willy Adames, extension with Matt Chapman, okay?
Which is huge. My God, nobody's
huge.
talking about it. Such a good extension.
No. Totally under the radar, but it's a huge, huge deal. He has a rotation of Logan Webb, Robbie Ray, Jordan Hicks, looking to have another good year here in 25. And I just really do think if you added a bopper with the skills like Luis Robert Jr. to that outfield, your outfield comp becomes moving Mike Yastrzemski to left field, center field, large center field, manned by Luis Robert Jr., and then you move Jung Ho Lee to right field.
Yeah.
If he goes into next season with that type of lineup with Willy Adames, Jung Ho Lee, Lamont Wade, Matt Chapman, Mike Yastrzemski, all those folks, and the rotation he has now, I would not rule them out. I really wouldn't.
That's really good. I didn't even think about that. That's a good move because they do need more outfield depth. Could I interest them in a young man, a Gold Glover by the name of Wilyer Abreu?
You keep wanting to. Okay, so hold on. Pause. We're going to stop the gift giving. Stop the white elephant. Hold on.
Okay.
So, what is your thoughts on Wilyer Abreu? Because I feel like you like him, but you're also really quick to get rid of him. So, what's the deal?
He's the odd man out. I do like him quite a bit. But the problem with the Wilyer Abreu situation is, number one, he made himself valuable by having a very good season last year. Number two, he hits left-handed. And on the Red Sox team, where we have a million left-handed hitters and almost no right-handed hitters, between guys like Tristan Casas, Rafael Devers, Jarren Duran, Yoshida, everybody hits left-handed, and we need right-handed hitting. And so how do you get that? You trade away talent. The other thing that doesn't stand to Wilyer Abreu's favor is the fact that Jarren Duran just had himself a career season and landed himself very high on the MLB top 100 players rankings. And also, well, they haven't released their rankings, but the projected rankings done by like Baseball America or something, whatever. He's actually projected now to be the number 4 center fielder in all of baseball. When you factor that into, the Red Sox just extended Cedar Rafaela. Jarren Duran's already in the building. Roman Anthony's number 1 prospect in baseball. He's expected to come up. Christian Campbell also plays some outfield. Like, it's a crowded outfield, man. It's a super crowded outfield. So when we're trying to find a right-handed bat, Wilyer Abreu just happens to be the guy. Like, dang, he won a Gold Glove. That's really good for us as far as trade value. So yeah, he's the guy that everybody's trying to trade away.
It puts the Red Sox in a good position. You always want to be the team that's trading from a strength and trading from a strength where you actually have some good, talented players. And I am surprised, based on what I know about Abreu and what you're saying, that they haven't dealt him already. I think he could still be dealt this offseason, but it's very surprising that no one would take a flyer is not a right word because he's a talented player, but no one would take a chance.
If you ask me, he should have won Rookie of the Year last year. Like, genuinely, I think he was a more valuable player, I think, than Luis Gil. But, 6 1, half dozen there. It is what it is. He won a Gold Glove. He's a very valuable player. He's a good player, and I think he's going to be good for a while. So
I don't know what you're complaining about. I know you have all these left-handers, but you have the dominant right-handed bat of Trevor Story, so I don't know what you're complaining about.
Yeah, he's going to play like 5 games next season.
Good question here. Who's going to be in more games? in 2025? Trevor Story or Jacob deGrom?
In more games, Trevor Story, only because he'll play every day.
Appear in more games. You cannot guarantee that with Trevor Story. You seem so confident in that, and I don't know that you should sound that confident, my man.
Dude, I was at the game he hurt himself in Anaheim. He was playing against the Angels, and it's funny as I missed the play. I had like 4 beers and I was like ready to go to the bathroom. And so I go to the bathroom and I come back and my buddy who's a Yankees fan was just sitting there like, "Oh no, dude." And I was like, my phone's like blowing up and I'm in the bathroom, but I'm in the bathroom, so I'm not checking it. So I get back to my seat. I was like, what the hell is going on? Because there's trainers on the field and I see a body collapsed on the ground at the shortstop position. And I was like, oh my God, Trevor Story's down. He didn't play another game the rest of the season. Yeah,
and it was never the same.
No.
Never the same sense. Wow.
Nope.
Wow. All right. What is your second gift? What gift are you giving?
I'm giving 2 hitters.
Oh.
2 hitters in general to the Mariners. Honestly, if you ask me, I would go ahead and trade Tristan Casas and Wilyer Abreu. I want Logan Gilbert and George Kirby in return.
That is not. You are so up your ass on that. That is never happening.
Now, here's the deal. It doesn't need to be those 2 players, but they do need hitters because the Mariners have well known as one of the best, if not the best on paper, starting rotations in baseball. When you talk about a guy like Bryce Miller, he is the number 4 starter in that rotation. Bryce Miller is the number 4 starter in your rotation. You're doing something right. But the only problem with the Mariners is they cannot hit the baseball. It's like Kyle Raleigh and like the ghost of J-Rod in center field, and that's it. That's all you have offensively.
I'm with you 100%. There's no doubt that if the Mariners are going to be successful, in fact, I think based on what we just talked about, they could pull away in the AL West if they added those 2 hitters. But, I mean, you've heard it all offseason so far. It seems like the only pitcher they're actually willing to trade is Luis Castillo. So if I'm giving you Luis Castillo for Abreu and Casas, and I'm adding a couple prospects into No? Not if I added a top prospect and a double-A guy? That's not enough for you?
Only because if I look up, I'm going to pull up his number so I have the exact number, but Luis Castillo has like a 4.6 FIP in the last 2 years. He consistently loses fastball velocity, consistently loses swing and miss. He does post. He does, or at least the last 2 seasons, he had 197, 175 in the 3rd innings in the last 2 seasons.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's not worth the money for me. I don't want to trade 2 cost-controlled left-handed bats, good left-handed bats, for just Luis Castillo. Looking at his ERA last season, he had a 3.9 FIP. 3.9 FIP. All accounts, the Red Sox defense is not as good as the Mariners defense. So I think that FIP is not going to matter as much. But he did have a 3.6 ERA last season. But it has gone up. It's literally gone up every season since 2022, where he had somewhere around a 3 ERA. I'd have to like highlight 3 different teams. Oh, 2 teams. So he had 2.99 ERA in 2022. And then it's a 3.34, and then it's a 3.64, and then like once you get to above a 3.6, I don't think trading a Casas and an Abreu at the same time is just worth that, especially somebody who's entering his age 32 season.
Yeah, I mean that makes sense. It does. I mean, we did get a rumor that they were in on talks with Casas, and that a picture was involved. We just don't know which one. I think you know what? No, we did hear wasn't that it was Brian
Castillo
Wu who
Casas.
they asked for.
It's just
I thought it was Wu. It's not. It's not.
The Red Sox wanted like a Miller, and the Mariners said, "Okay, well then Casas," and the Red Sox were like, "No, we're not doing that," because the problem with Casas is that we run into his ability to stay on the field, which drives his value down. Personally, I think when he's in the box, he's one of the more dangerous left-handed bats in the American League, at least. But he just doesn't. He's not on the field as much, and so his value is not really there. I think if you're going to trade a Tristan Casas, you need to do it after he's had the chance to have a full season. And Luis Castillo is not the guy I'm trading Tristan Casas for.
That makes perfect sense. I'm with you there after you've explained it. Okay, my second gift. This kind of gets to what we were talking about earlier. I am feeling super generous towards the Cubs right now because I like what they're doing. I'm going to gift Pete Alonso to the Cubs. Here's why I'm doing that. I know. Could you imagine if Jed Hoyer were to pull it off, a lineup with Pete Alonso at first base. Cody Bellinger is gone. Right now they have Michael Busch, who had a solid season last year after getting acquired by the Dodgers, no doubt. But he is a guy that can play some outfield, some third base, some first base. Let him be a bench bat and go out and get yourself a 40 home run, Pete Alonso, and put him in the middle of that lineup. Then all of a sudden, I think you put yourself in a premier spot to win that division handily next season. I think they need someone like Pete Alonso, and I think they sure as hell, on a guy who's in his 30s, who's going to get a 5 to 6 year top contract, they can afford it.
I also just think, like, when you talk about the Cubs, and I was going to bring this up, but I forgot to bring it up when we were talking about the Cubs. The one thing that would give me hope as a Cubs fan is the fact that Craig Counsell's not signing that contract to be one of if not the highest paid manager in baseball. I think it's the highest paid manager in baseball.
He is the highest.
Yeah. He's not signing a record-breaking contract to go to the Cubs if he doesn't think that he's managing a team that's trying to win. And so I think it's same thing that I was saying when Alex Cora extended last season. You have to keep in mind that these guys want to win baseball games, and if the Cubs were able to lure in a guy like Craig Counsell, that means that the intent was at least pitched to Craig Counsell, and he bought it, and he's the guy who was going to move his whole family to take the job. So if I'm a Cubs fan, I'm feeling pretty good about their intentions. We just got to see how they execute. I mean, to this point, they've executed immaculately. They've, gotten value and dumped a contract of Cody Bellinger. They have avoided getting rid of Seiya Suzuki to this point. They have, traded for Kyle Tucker. So, I mean, the pieces are coming in slowly. It's just like you need a big move from them to just really round out a competitive roster, especially in a division that, I don't know, you should be trying to win that division by 10 games next season.
Absolutely. I think right now the projection for Pete Alonso, by the way, is about 5 years, $125 million. So it's an AAV of $25 million a year. That is,
he could hit 50 home runs any day now, man.
I know. Like if that's what you're paying for 5 years, that is an absolute no brainer. And let's do an overpay. Let's call it 27, 28. Fine, whatever. Still, I mean, if the Cubs do that, if I'm a Cubs fan, I'm feeling on top of the world with what they've done so far this offseason.
I agree. It's not like they're one of those teams that's like, we need a starting pitcher. No, not particularly. You just kind of need bats, man. Like, you got to play to the strengths of your ballpark, and it's the friendly confines, or not the friendly it's Wrigley Field, right? It's
yeah.
Do the thing, man. Go get boppers that can just blow baseballs past the ivy.
100%. All right, last gift. Who you giving?
All right, my last gift is an adult to play on the Orioles. I think that they need some clubhouse leadership. I think this is a team that we've seen them in the last couple playoff series that has not done very well because of a lack. And I think you can kind of pin it on a lack of experience in those big moments. The Orioles, I mean, on paper are one of the better teams in the American League. The thing is, just to this point, they have not shown up in the postseason. So what do they need? A Justin Turner, like somebody who's just played baseball for the last 30 years of their life, knows exactly how to play in a postseason, knows exactly how to train and to take young guys under their wing, hold their own private batting and fielding sessions. Guys, somebody who can go in there and be the adult in the room and impart some wisdom on these young guys, because I think they're a little deer in the headlights. Adley Rutschman can only do so much. He's still in his third or fourth season himself. So at the end of the day, you need somebody in that clubhouse who has been there and done that. And when you lose guys like Santander, it becomes even more apparent. I think a guy like Tyler O'Neill's okay. I don't know. He said a 1-year deal if I'm not mistaken, or maybe it was a couple years, but still, it's different. You need a guy who's like won a World Series and is now a journeyman.
You do. I could not agree with you more, and I think I agree with you just on the premise of the Orioles did such a good job of building this team with young stars. I mean, they're scouting, they're drafting. I don't know that any team has hit as well as they've hit, and you got to give them props for that.
We're talking 2017-ish Astros.
Yes, 100%. Here's my problem though. They need to spend. They cannot go into 3 straight seasons and fail in the playoffs because they do not have the depth and the pitching and the veteran leadership that you're talking about. Because the last thing they need to do is fill this team with the Rushmans, the Gunners, the Westbergs. And if you have control for 6 years, 5-6 years of these players, and you've wasted 3 of them, that would be an abysmal failure.
If this team had the payroll capacity of the Dodgers, you're still not keeping all those players on your roster in a couple of years when they all hit free agency and they all make $250+ million a year.
Mainly because 4 of the 5 are going to be Boris clients in the next 2 years.
100%. It is imperative that you pour money into this team now because you're going to probably keep Adley Rutschman around. Mm-hmm. And who else? Like, you can't count on anybody else sticking around.
If I had to play crystal ball right now and say who are the 2 folks that I would keep around as Rutschman my cornerstone, Rutschman and Gunnar Henderson, of course. Outside of that, you cannot sustain this if you let everyone else walk. And in the meantime, you did not supplement what you needed to win. And they have that new owner, David Rubenstein, who has said he wants to spend more money. Well, proof's in the pudding now. They really need to get it done. They can't go into 2025 with the same stuff they've had and actually have lost players and taken a step back.
Yeah. No, I mean, I'll see you in 5 years at episode 250 where we're talking about Jackson Holliday signing with the Dodgers. Like, this team is gone in a few years, man. They're going to lose these pieces, and you have to build around them now. That's why Corbin Burns was such a perfect fit for them, man. Talk about a guy who can develop a Grayson Rodriguez. Corbin Burns is that guy. And maybe he goes back. The Orioles have had whispers of being in on the sweepstakes, but who knows at this point with Corbin Burns? I have a feeling we're looking at another Blake Snell situation.
Yeah, that would super suck. Man. Well, that's the thing with them is they're running out of options for free agent pitchers right now, and they're going to trap themselves in the corner doing what they don't want to do and trade more prospects. But
clearly they don't want to do it, but they should. Like,
they need to. I'm sorry.
This is your strength. Like you said, trade from a position of strength. You have more down in that farm system that you could, like, Kobe Mayo is still on this roster. Trade him away. Where is he going to play in the big leagues?
100%. There is no reason why. Who the heck is the other guy? I'm totally forgetting the other guy right now.
If you said his name, I know, but I know who you're talking about.
I know. Kobe Mayo, second baseman. Who the hell's the second baseman? God darn it.
The current second baseman? Jackson Holliday?
No, not the current second baseman.
Oh
my
a different
God.
Name. I'm going to look
He does. This is going to drive me nuts.
Orioles prospects.
No, not
Kobe Mayo, Jackson Holliday, Enrique Bradfield, Colton Cowser. No, wait.
No.
Kjerstad.
Oh my God,
Heston Kjerstad.
No. Who? No, this is really going to bother me. Who is it?
Who is it? Baseman?
It's no, not a second. It's where is he? I don't know. I don't know what I'm doing. Forget about what I said. Anyway, if you're not trading a Kjerstad, a Mayo, and those Judd 2 guys Fabian for pitching. No, I don't know who the hell I'm thinking of. But if you don't trade those guys right there for pitching, you are doing yourself a huge disservice.
Yep.
You just are.
No, I agree. You need to get more on this team in terms of, like I said, adults in the room. And there's no better way. Like, I honestly, I don't even know. I couldn't even name a name besides, like, the Justin Turner type comes to mind because that's just what he's done ever since he left the Dodgers, is be the adult in the room for every team he's played on. Maybe like a JD Martinez, dude. I know he doesn't want to go. He will not want to go play in Baltimore and play with that wall. But
yeah, I mean, but those are the swings you have to take. No pun intended. I mean, those are the guys you have to go for. I'm getting so irritated by this, and I think people are getting a sense of my irritation. It's because, like, I want to see a freaking good Orioles team. Like they have. I just think about
city to be good for.
Yes, like I just think about the Cal Ripken Orioles teams. Like I want to see that, and it's been so damn long.
We've seen Baltimore rally around their Ravens so emphatically over the last few years. I mean, they've never been bad since I've been a football fan. Look what they would do with a baseball team, especially with, if you ask me, the most beautiful ballpark in all of baseball. I have been to Dodger Stadium. I have been to Fenway Park. I have also been to Camden Yards, and Camden Yards is just gorgeous, man. I just think they have a very special thing, a very special climate in Baltimore for sports in general. And at that ballpark, you got to try to get somebody there who wants to be like the Oriole that really rallied the team.
Absolutely. All right, Parker, I'm going to wrap us up here with my last gift, and I'm going to go back to the NL Central for a second, because you know what? If the Cubs are making all these moves, I know one team that is not going to be aggressive, but will always be that annoying little brother, and that is the Milwaukee Brewers, the Rays of the NL. And I would like to gift the Brewers Bo Bichette. I would like... Yes, hear me out. There are rumors in the last couple of days that teams are calling on Bo Bichette. It looks like the Blue Jays are working actively to extend Vlad Guerrero, which means most likely they will not be extending Bo Bichette. And if I had to pick the two, I think we would both pick Vlad.
Yeah, I would pick Vladdy for sure.
So look at what the needs are. Well, the needs are, the Brewers lost Willy Adames. They have a huge gaping hole at short. Why don't you go ahead and take a chance on Bo Bichette, who could still do something for you? Why don't you trade in the Brewers, get a couple prospects, call it a day? There you go.
Yeah, I could see it. What's the Milwaukee farm system? Not that you're going to know this off the top of your head, because I don't think anybody does. But the Brewers farm system, what are they ranked?
So let's actually look it up
too.
Yeah, pull it up, because I'm going to actually look up. I'm more curious to see who they have. I will say they are
top
not
5
one
farm
of the
systems in MLB in 2024.
I would not peg them for that.
This is the
really?
system that gave us Jackson Chourio.
I mean, I guess so. So their top
I think
prospects...
he hasn't graduated yet, though. Oh, no,
he must have.
Oh, no, he graduated. But they have guys like Jacob Mizorowski. Oh, my God, Jacob Mizorowski is going to be a dog in the MLB. I really think he's going to be good.
Jefferson Caro, Cooper Pratt. I do think if you're in a position where you could get... here's the deal. I think Bo Bichette, though, is going to be regarded not the same, but close to Luis Robert. I think teams are going to look at Bo Bichette and say, not to the same extent, but I think there's an argument to be made that teams are going to look at Bo and say, yeah, he's got tools. He can be a toolsy guy, but he just hasn't really played his potential, and we're nervous about that. I don't know that they're going to walk away with multiple top prospects. I think maybe they get one and a couple fringe, or one and one fringe. I don't know that teams are going to be eager to clear their farm for a Bo Bichette.
Yeah, not clear the farm. I'm not even talking top 10 prospects if you're offering me Bo Bichette.
Yeah.
If I'm being honest.
Oh, for sure. Has to be in the teens, at least one in the teens.
Yeah. His defense, like, where do you put him? Does he become a corner outfielder?
It has to be short. No.
He's not big enough to play corner outfield. He's not that fast. Like, he kind of just hits, right? And he doesn't hit particularly well recently. He swings at literally everything.
Right.
Yeah. So I don't know. But I can see him on the Brewers. You're not wrong there. Like, they did just lose Willy Adames. They could use somebody. They could use a warm body to throw at the shortstop position.
Yeah, so, you hate to say that, but I mean, if there's any team that could, with their infrastructure and their scouting, get more out of a player that just needs a change of scenery, I think the Brewers are one of those teams.
Yeah.
I'm looking at the projections. I'm kind of curious. The Steamer projections on Fangraphs. So they're projecting him at 278, stat line 278, 324, 440 slugging. That's interesting. 20 home runs, 82 runs. That K rate 19. WRC plus of 118. I mean,
I'm pulling up Bo Bichette's Savant page now, because now I'm curious. Ooh.
Yeah, he had a 71 WRC plus last year. That's rough.
Yeah, his calling card is hitting, and he just wasn't doing it. He didn't qualify last year. He missed a lot of time for a Savant page. But okay, so weirdly enough, he has the range to play short. Maybe he's a second baseman. He's got range. He just doesn't have arm strength.
I wonder.
But he's never going to slip to second base before he goes and hits free agency.
No. I wonder if Bryce Terang, though, on the Brewers, would they move him to short? I think he's probably the better shortstop than.
Let me pull up his Savant metrics. Terang.
Huh. That's interesting.
Bryce Terang. All right, let me see. Because now I'm in the rabbit hole. This is how savant rabbit holes happen, dude. This is where
Oh,
I'm at.
100%. I like how we're talking like, oh, what should we do? Should we call Ross? And we figure it out with Ross. Let's give Ross
Yeah,
Atkins
let's
a call.
call him.
Let's see what he's up to. Hey,
Bryce
Ross.
Duran could 100% play. Well, I don't know. He's an even lower arm strength rating than Bo Bichette, but he has incredible range.
Yeah, I think for sure. I tend to care more about range on that one.
Yeah,
But,
I mean,
as long as he's not too
routine
far
plays
off
are
with the
still
arm.
routine plays for a big leaguer, right? Like,
Yeah, I would think so. If the arm's not atrocious, I think you can get by. You want the range, but that's interesting. Well, I just want to throw that out there. Like, I
yeah,
would love to give Bo the Brewers. I think it'd be a really nice fit. Go to Milwaukee, go to AmFam Field, enjoy some brewskis and some brats. Can't beat it.
yeah, absolutely. That sounds fun to me. I don't know about you.
Shit, if Bo's not going, we're going. Let's go. All right. Wow, we're already 55 minutes into this thing. I knew this was going to happen today.
This is going to be a longer episode because take us home. We got some stuff to talk about.
We have not even hit what I think is a bombshell I'm about to drop, and I want everyone here to listen up, and I want you to please take me seriously. Know that I'm not under the influence of any drugs or alcohol as I say this, but I will go out on a limb here, and I will say that the team that I am most interested in over the next 5 years, the team that I think is going to be the most interesting team in baseball, is the Las Vegas Athletics of Sacramento. Okay. Now you're probably like, Anthony, that is the most outrageous thing you've ever said. I would rather watch a pile of dirt than the A's. And you would be wrong. Okay.
Yeah,
Now,
I was going to say the A's have more sex appeal than they've had in a couple years now.
Yes. So we're going to talk about this, Parker, but let me just kind of share my thought process here and why I even this came to my brain. Number one, I think we are used to the A's that are completely just void of talent. Like, they're completely just a shell of themselves. And I would argue last year, when you look at what they did down the stretch at the end of last year, they actually played quite well and showed some spark. When you think of guys like Lawrence Butler, who really just crashed onto the scene for the A's, you look at Brent Rooker, who's slowly becoming a household name. I mean, let me throw this out for you just for context here. Okay. Home runs on our end all be all, but I found this interesting. Home runs in 2024 for the A's. Lawrence Butler, 22, Brent Rooker, 39, JJ Bleday, 20, Shea Langoliers, 29, Zach Galoff, 17, Seth Brown, 14. Their offense is sneaky good. Now, let me throw this out. There's two other things that make them kind of a sexy team over the next 5 years. Number one, these are the A's that have turned a corner with their spending. Now, why have they turned a corner with their spending? Because they're actually kind of forced to. So for those of you who aren't aware, they're at risk of being of a grievance being thrown their way by the MLBPA. And the reason that they may be susceptible to a grievance is that the way this works is each team contributes to revenue sharing in Major League Baseball. Now, the problem with the A's is under the new bargaining agreement this past season, they got all of their revenue sharing back. And the point here is that if you're getting that revenue sharing back, you're supposed to spend 150% of it on MLB payroll. Of course, we know the A's don't spend, and so they haven't spent for years, and the MLBPA and the players are pissed about it, rightfully so. So in order to avoid that grievance, they need to have their payroll of at least $105 million. And right now, with where they're at, they have about $15 million left to go to hit that mark. This is why they signed a Luis Severino. This is why you trade for a Jeffrey Springs and bring in a Gio Urshela, where you're not actually ripping it down to the studs, but you're actually trying to put something mildly competitive. That's number two. Number three, there is no way in hell, and I think people forget this. I understand Oakland fans. I feel you. If my team, my storied, historical, history-rich team left my city, I would be pissed.
Yeah.
But here's the reality of it. You don't move to Vegas. You don't move to a new market in 3 years without intentions of getting there in 2028 and having a good competitive team. That helps no one. That doesn't help the ownership. That doesn't help the city. They are setting this up to where when they arrive in Las Vegas in 2028, they have a competitive team that they're going to spend on. That is why I say, watch what's going to happen in the next 3 to 5 years with this team, because I think when we get to 27 and 28, we're going to look at a drastically different, very exciting Las Vegas Athletics.
Surprisingly, now I knew this was coming because we've been talking about it offline for a while, but I surprisingly agree with you. And I kind of knew this was the case for a long time. I think that a lot of people have been paying attention to, the A's and their actions over the last few years. It doesn't come as a crazy surprise that they are intending on spending some money. Now, is their roster going to look anything like it is now when they get to Vegas? Probably not. A bunch of their players are going to get through ARB, and they're not going to retain any of them. I could see Lawrence Butler or something like that getting a pretty decent contract to stick around, but who knows?
Sure.
Luis Severino is certainly not coming with you to Vegas. But you have a point. And I think that, interestingly, some of the moves that they have made over, this offseason have been pretty good. Adding a Gio Urshela to that clubhouse, that's valuable. I was just talking about an adult in the room. I didn't even think about Gio Urshela, but if he was available, that'd be a guy I would want the Orioles to look into signing.
Right.
Somebody who's played a bunch of seasons in the big leagues. Somebody who can provide some leadership to a lot of these young A's players that may or may not be getting it, especially in their native language. Go ahead. Invest some money. Make this team fun because you have some of the nicest uniforms in baseball. I love the A's uniforms.
Oh,
and
me
unfortunately,
too.
you've been the laughing stock of the MLB basically since Moneyball came out, which sucks because Moneyball is one of the bigger marketing tools of any baseball fan trying to get somebody into the game. And when you look at the subject of that entire movie, you look at the A's and they are a absolute joke. Yeah, A's baseball's fun. Look at all those fans that showed up for the reverse strike games in Oakland. Look at all these people that have just lived and died by this baseball team when they've been good in the past. John Fisher, I mean, we could go on for hours and hours about how John Fisher should be ashamed of himself and the way that this team. He is not a broke owner. He is one of the more wealthy owners in baseball. So it's so disappointing to see where they're at, but to see the future, if they truly are going to move to Vegas, if they are going to build a new ballpark, you don't you brought up a great point. You do not move to Vegas and not become a competitive team almost immediately. Vegas will make that happen. Vegas will force that out of you. The Golden Knights joined the NHL and they were immediately one of the best teams in all of the
100%.
NHL. I think the same thing happens for the A's.
Absolutely. I mean, I get really excited for 2028 for that reason alone. John Fisher, you can be upset with him all you want, rightfully so, I understand. But it is just not in his financial interest to not improve this team by that point, guys. It's just not. We're going to be in a
cost
position.
so much money to move to fucking Vegas, man. It is
100%.
going to cost. They are tearing down the Tropicana to build a stadium. Vegas needs to make money off this team. Otherwise, they are literally losing money by getting rid of one of the casinos.
Wow. There's been 2 Tropicanas destroyed here in 2024. Ooh, yikes. It's
a bad day to be an orange juice man.
Oh, that's terrible. But that makes me very excited. And honestly, we've already said hey, you and I are making the trip 2028. We're freaking going to that ballpark. I'm so excited. And I think when we get there, we're going to see a serviceable A's team, and that's very exciting. And if you're an Oakland fan and you're not pissed off enough to follow the team to Vegas, and that's something you're going to do, kudos to you. I really hope for you and for your sake that's what happens because you freaking deserve it. You need it.
I have a really good friend of mine, an older gentleman who's in his 60s who plays on my softball team that is a diehard Athletics fan, has been for years, for his entire life. Bay Area fan till he dies. He's a San Jose Sharks fan, everything. And when the A's confirmed the fact that they were leaving, he told me to my face, he was like, I think I'm a Giants fan now. And people say crazy stuff when they're sad.
Yeah.
He's still wearing that A's hat. And I talked to him about it the other day. And I was like, hey, just out of curiosity, how are you feeling about the A's? He goes, it stinks. It sucks. They're leaving. But they did just give Luis Severino a contract, and they seem like they're moving to a place that's going to be good for the organization as a whole. And they're still my A's. And like the Boston Red Sox could move to London, and I'd still be a Red Sox fan, man. The Boston Red Sox could literally like stand at the gate and be like, everybody but Parker Kirk is allowed in the damn gate. Fuck you, Parker. And I'd be like, that hurts because I love you. You know, like
Right.
I'm still a Sox fan. And all these A's fans, I'm sure there are plenty of. I'm sure there are some that are leaving. I'm sure there are plenty of A's fans that are Giants fans now, and I'm sure there are plenty of A's fans that are free agent fans now. And I'm sure there is a ton of A's fans that are still A's fans. And I think, look, we don't have a plethora of viewers, but I do want to say that if you're listening to this podcast and you're an A's fan, you're allowed to be an A's fan. You're allowed to be hurt and still love the ball club that you grew up watching, the ball club that has been in your hometown or been the team you've watched for years that's put you through hell and high water. You still can be a fan of that team. It's okay to be mad and be a fan.
So well said, Parker. And I'll tell you what's also okay, and I've experienced this myself. I feel like there's a little bit of fan shaming that happens sometimes when you grow up being a fan of one team, and for whatever reason, whether it's a team that moves, you grow up and your priorities align, you have other interests, and you change teams. I'm one of those people, right? I grew up a Cubs fan, and in my adult years, I've become a White Sox fan. And
I grew up a Yankees fan, dude. And then when I was like 12,
there you go.
Yeah.
And you guys, life is way too short, and we all love baseball way too much, dude. Just go where the wind takes you, because you know what? I know Parker agrees with me. We have our home teams, Red Sox, White Sox, but God, do I love watching Dodgers baseball? Do I love watching Orioles baseball? Like, there's a reason, Parker, I have hats of so many other MLB teams that I wear on rotation, because I freaking love baseball, and I appreciate the history of every one of these franchises, and it makes it so much more fun.
100%. Nobody should be made to feel bad for loving the team that they love, because at the end of the day, we have a choice, but there comes a point where you don't. I'm so tied in to what is happening in Boston surrounding the game of baseball. I can't just turn that off. There's no molecule in my body that could just turn it off. And especially as a Red Sox fan, that does feel a little spurned over the last 4 years, judging by how the team's been run and how most of my favorite players are just no longer on the team, and watching them succeed elsewhere. It's okay to still love your team. It's okay to love the jersey. It's okay to go to the games and sell the team shirts. You can do it. Do it. You should. But man, there's not many more historical franchises than the A's, and that's something that you can't look away from. That's something that brings the element to the game of baseball that no other team really brings.
I could not agree more. You know what my favorite team is, though? This team, the late night baseball team.
I love it.
And we have so much more coming up for you guys. I know we're getting to the end of the year here. If you've been following along since our first episode this year, thank you. We appreciate it. Please continue to follow along with us. Please chime in, message us, leave us a review, do anything you need to do to get engaged with us. But more than anything, please, 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 the biggest help you can give for us as we wrap up the year is go to YouTube, subscribe, share our show with the other baseball lovers in your life. We would greatly appreciate it. And know that no matter what team you're a fan of, even if we give your team massive shit, which we like to do, you are always welcome here. So
I do want to point out too, we're not taking a break for the holidays, dude. We're going. Episode a week, man.
Hell no. No, you will see us right after Christmas. We're recording next Thursday, the 26th. All of our kids will be opening gifts, playing in the corner. Parker and I have baseball to talk about. This is important stuff. We're here for it.
Baseball that didn't happen. Probably no moves between now and then.
It does not matter. We will always find something to talk about. Parker, have a great Christmas, my man.
You too, man. I hope everybody listening does as well.
All right. You take care, everyone. We'll see you next week here on Late Night Baseball.